What is up, Ridge Runner Nation? We are back with another episode of Ridge Runners Live, this time featuring Lee Connor and Karmell Ohlrogge. They both recently raced the Blood Rock 100, a truly gritty Appalachian 100 miler with more than 26,000 feet of elevation gain. And yes, you heard that number right. Lee took home the victory for the women and came in 6th overall, while Karmell ran just her second ever 100 miler, came in 23rd overall, good for the 4th woman across the finish line. We are so stoked and grateful to have what might be the toughest power culprit in ultra running on our show tonight. It's going to be a really good one. Lee and Karmell, welcome to the show. How are y'all doing?
Oh, good. You pronounced my name right.
Yeah, mine's easy. We're good. We're good. We're recovering, beer and food all week.
All right, that's great to hear. And it's also great to hear that I did pronounce your name right. I did have to practice that before the show. If y'all don't know, my name is Cam Wrench. I'm the 6th man of Ridge Runner Nation. Our other host tonight is John Dolovacki III. JD, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. I'm really happy to be back on a live show. It's been a while since I've been on the show with you. But let's kick it over to our guests and our favorite activity of the night, which is what are we drinking? So what are you drinking, Lee?
Elvis juice.
We're both drinking the same thing. Elvis juice, like BrewDog.
It is a delicious grapefruit IPA. It's almost a sports recovery beverage.
Almost?
It's got fruit in it.
Well,
Because it's fruit.
I'm gonna go with that.
If it's got fruit in it, it's a recovery beverage.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That's been useful too.
We're definitely fans of that kind of logic over here. And so with all that said, y'all recently ran this huge race down in Alabama. So first things first, congratulations on finishing. Lee obviously first and Karmell finishing 4th place. Let's jump right into our questions tonight and take us a little bit through your pre-race training, or as we talked a little bit before the show, the lack thereof.
Would you want to go with that?
Okay, so there was no racing because pandemic. So Karmell had a schedule of escalating races starting at 30K back in like March, which canceled because
I had
she's
this neat little plan of
new to
stepping
ultra.
it up, but they all canceled.
Everything got canceled. And then I ran Orcas Island 100 in February, which actually it's about the same amount of climb as Blood Rock, except it was colder and wetter. So it was good preparation, except then there was this huge gap during which I forgot that if you're not racing, you should actually train. So there wasn't really training. And then we went to Shawnee Hills and we both DNF. Did not care because we both had trench foot. That was in August. And then the bear, and then no business, and then this. So we're like kind of trained up by learn by doing, but not really a whole ton of training. And then we had COVID and got over it about 2.5 weeks before Blood Rock. So that interfered with training a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just when we were starting to recover from the last race. Like, I think it was the day I was like, oh, I'm actually starting to feel good again. I actually can run again. It was like the day after that, the COVID symptoms started. So, we didn't know how this one was going to go.
We both thought we didn't think we'd finish. Both of us were like
running in the last month or so.
Yeah.
At all.
We both didn't really expect to finish, and we both did. So we're pretty happy.
Yeah.
We just went with start slow and see how far we can get.
Yeah.
And eat.
Mm-hmm.
We ate on the nutrition.
All right. Well, it seems that strategy really worked out for y'all. My next question is how, describe a little bit your mental process, if there was one, feeling confident going into this race, knowing that you had been using races to maintain your fitness instead of training, and then obviously just getting over COVID sort of right when most people would be starting their taper.
Well, I had no confidence going into this race. I fully,
Yeah.
I just, like, we already had the travel plans, and we had a friend who was doing it for her first 25K, and we were the emotional support, so we're like, well, we got to go try. So actually, no confidence. I had a pulled hamstring that I was not supposed to run the bear, according to physical therapy, because, okay, so what had happened was my friend gave me a beer and then was like, you used to have a skateboard. Look, I have a skateboard. Can you still do skateboard tricks? And then I landed an ollie wrong and I pulled my hamstring. And it's my own fault. But then I did not rest it. And then, so it's like just now getting all the way healed. So between that, not actually testing it enough, and then not training and not knowing if fatigue and lungs were going to be an issue, I actually went into this with no confidence whatsoever. Like, I limped out, no business. I finished it, but I finished it 7 hours slower than the year before. I just did it because you have to do it the other direction to get the other buckle. So I don't know if you all know about that, but it's a thing. It's a big circle. It changes directions every year until you complete it both directions. You don't get the special buckle. I don't have to wait another 2 years. So like I just walked the thing out. So coming into this, and then I had COVID in between, so I couldn't test anything or exercise. So I actually did not have any idea, but I figured I could show up and just stay on my nutrition and just take short steps and just see how far I would get.
Yeah, same thing for me. I waitlisted for the bear and no business. I was like number 200 on the wait list for the bear, so I'm thinking, there's no way this is going to happen. And I got off the wait list for both of them on the same day. And those races, I think, were about like 3 or 4 weeks apart. So I did the bear, and that was my first 100-miler finish. But then I tried to do no business a few weeks later, and it did not go well, as one might imagine. So I DNF'd no business in October, and like she was saying, we haven't really been able to train since then. So I also had no confidence going into this. I didn't think it was going to go.
I think that helped with Blood Rock, though. No, because there were injured people. Like, do you know who Jamila is? Great person. She runs everything. She maybe broke and dislocated her thumb landing on a rock during Blood Rock and wound up dropping at the last checkpoint because of time. I think it was completely dislocated, but she kept going. But so there were a lot of people with that kind of issue because it's so rocky that if you're actually trying in the first like half of the race at Blood Rock to run, like you're like, I'm gonna run, you get a time, I'm gonna stay on this pace, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to get injured. Like I think a lot of the people that dropped, there are people who drop because it is a difficult race, but there are a lot more people who drop because they were trying to run. And there's whole sections there where you need to stop trying to run and just walk and eat your snacks. Because if you try to run, it takes so much energy, and then it was so cold. Like it was in the 30s overnight. So like you need like 250, 300 calories an hour. But if you're trying to run, because noon starts, so here you are at night, still in your first half, trying to run this stuff, all you do is get a ton of injuries, trash your feet, and run out of all your calories, and the sun comes up, and you're like, done. And I think both of us were being so conservative because we're like, well, I don't know. So we're both like taking it easy, eating the snacks, just like trying to just survive as long as we can. And I think it actually wound up being an advantage because in the second half, I could actually run. It's like, oh, sun's up, it's light. There's actually runnable sections in there. And I actually was able to run at a point when I think a lot of people had already gotten really, really damaged because, you taper and it's so difficult to hold back early. Because, you feel great. But we were both so nervous, I think we were more prone to holding back, and that was actually a huge advantage because that race just takes so long to do. I mean, it still took me 29 and a half hours. That's a long time for that place. I don't know if I've ever placed that high with that long a time, except at Cruel Jewel. Cruel Jewel, I won it, and it took me like 30 hours and something. But that's also a nightmare course. Like, point only being, like, I think the holding back early and the lack of confidence actually wound up being a huge advantage.
Yeah.
At that course.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add to that, Karmell?
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's funny how it works out where it's like, if you're going overconfident, I don't know, it's easier to overpace going in that way versus going in feeling like, I haven't trained and we'll see how this goes. So it was definitely a slower start, and that did help in the long run to keep slugging it out at the end. And my time was obviously significantly longer than hers, but I went into the second night. And so, yeah, it definitely helps to have started off slow and still have some go left at the end there.
Yeah, totally. And so with that said, let's dig a little bit more into the race itself. Lee, you already described some of the terrain of this race, right? Just being so rocky and gnarly and rooty down there. But with that said, what do you think was the biggest challenge that both of y'all faced at this race?
The rocks. No, I think your trench foot was worse. I didn't get trench foot. My feet were okay with the wet. I think because I've spent years running races with dumb amounts of wet, I used to get more trouble with it. Or just luck. Could just be dumb luck. But the footing, definitely the footing. Like you're trying to run, you step on things, and the things move. And I trained for that. But so I had to shorten up my stride because I still healing hamstring. Course-wise, though, Just that there are places where there's ropes to hold on to, which is super great that there's ropes to hold on to. But when a course has 30 or 40 feet of ropes to hold on to, there's a reason they're there. And the reason is it's like this angle, and there's rocks, and there's mud. We actually got lucky though. Like, it was supposed to rain in the first overnight, and it did not. And that would have been another couple hours added onto the time, I think, if we'd gotten a downpour. I mean, the rocks almost help you when it's muddy, because there's enough rocks to step on that there's no straight sheets of mud. But so the descents, when you're coming down something at this angle in the dark, when you've already been going for like 60 or 70 miles, and you have to step down 3 feet to get your next step, so you got to have all your weight on one leg and practically do a pistol squat at mile 77 of 100.
It's a good exercise.
It's rough. It's rough. You start like just holding on to random things, and suddenly you grab too small a tree, and the tree comes down with you, and you slide a little bit down the hill, and you slide into that. So that I would say would be the challenge of that course.
No, for me, I'm really prone to getting trench foot, and so that kicked in around 75 miles. That started to get really bad for me, and so that put me out there way longer than I thought I was going to be, which eventually resulted in me crashing my calories horrifically bad. Terribly bad. So I ended up going into the second night then, and my blood sugar was so crashed that, like, I with all the rocks and everything, I just was not coordinated, couldn't keep my balance properly. I kept falling down, like getting to like one of the more technical areas of the course by P-line falls.
Did you see you like physically fall?
Oh yeah, I got like yeah. I mean, like, it got so bad that, like, because it was so technical and I kept falling, and I was like, well, if I keep falling in this area right here, I'm going to hurt myself, die. So I actually got on my hands and knees to start crawling, like, through the rocks. And then our friend who came with us to this race, I guess the aid station was just like a mile away, and she'd been waiting there. So she decided to come look for me. And it's funny because she's, to give you like some background information, she's a new trail runner. And, she comes to this race all prepared. She's got printouts of like maps of the course. She's got like
a 25 kid,
like a parking pass. Like, where she's like, I printed the parking pass, guys. And I'm like, what parking pass? She's like, and I think she's got like the race director's emails like printed out and stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's equally as prepared as far as these snacks go. So she's got like jelly beans and gummy bears, like all things that I don't normally eat. And for this whole trip, she's like, offering, you guys want some gummy bears? You guys want some jelly beans? And I'm like, no, I don't want jelly beans. I don't want gummy bears. But so she comes and she finds me like basically crawling in the woods because my blood sugar's so crashed. She's like, do you want jelly beans? I'm like, yes, yeah. She's like, what about gummy? I'm like, yeah, I want all of it. And she doesn't eat sugar. All this candy that I've been like turning down the whole trip. Like, no, I don't want your gummy bears. No, I don't want. I'm like shoving it in shoving it in my mouth like all at the same time. And she starts walking with me a little bit, and we walk like a few minutes, and she's like, are there any gummy bears left? I'm like, no gummy bears. No gummy bears left.
Tell them about the uniform.
So that we get to the aid station, though, we get my blood sugar back up, but like, again, I'm so tired at this point. Like, I mean, we're going on, what time? It would have been 33 hours.
So Deidre collected me at the finish, because she got there hour after I finished. And then a couple hours after that, after I'd been drinking whiskey, then she's like, let's go find Karmell. I'm driving you to the last aid station. So we go to the aid station. So I'm hanging out, drinking further with the aid station people at the second to last and last aid station. Was the same thing. You hit it, you do a dumb loop and go finish after hitting it a second time. So I'm just sitting there waiting for them to show up. So when they show up, I'm drunk. She's hallucinatingly delirious. And our friend who's all serious is like, not quite
yet, but I'm not with it. Like, I'm definitely not great. So they sent her out with me as a safety runner, which was probably good at that point because I'm not doing so hot. And I'm so tired. Like, I was like falling asleep on my feet. So this for me was actually the first time that I was like I'm like falling asleep while I'm like running. And it's like, I'm just seeing, like, there are all these leaves in my headlamp on the ground, and each leaf looks like it has like animals, like zoo animals on it. And like unicorns and things like that. And poor Deidre, like she's trying, are you coming? Are you coming? And like at times I thought I was still running, but like it would turn out that I was just standing there sleeping on my feet. So that last, what was that, like 5 miles, 7 miles? Yeah, that last 7 miles was just, it took how many hours did
And
that
that
take?
ridge is
I
long.
think that took over 5 hours.
It took you just under 5.
Yeah,
It took me like 2 hours and 10
that
minutes
last
because I ran
section
like
was
mad.
just, I mean, I feel like I had a good race until about 85 miles, but then that last bit was just, that was hard to get through. And at some point there was a sign too. It said,
Didn't you say you were worried about unicorns and you heard your dead grandmother's voice?
oh yeah,
telling you
yeah,
it was
there was
okay?
all sorts of just weird, like I was like half asleep, so it's like I'm like my dead grandma's like, no, it's okay, you just get to look at these things while you go to the finish line, because I'm like half asleep while I'm running. But yeah, then at some point there's a sign that says like 1.6 miles to the cabins, which is where
there's signs in this course that tell you distances, but they're like park signs.
Park signs, not
so
race
the park
signs.
sign tells you how far to the thing that's named the thing of your next aid station. This is not the distance to the aid station, and this is challenging mentally and emotionally, because you're like, oh good, 1.6 miles. An hour and a half later, when you get to the aid station, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was the worst tease of ever. Like, yeah, I see the sign, I'm like 1.6 miles, and I'm like in a good mood now, and waking up, and I'm like, here we go, and like I think a couple hours more went by, and it's like, where is it? Where is it? Like it's just blackness, no sign. Like stopping to listen, there's no noise, there's no lights, there's no anything, and it's like 1.6 miles, not 1.6 miles. So yeah, that last segment was just, it was brutal. That was definitely the hardest I've experienced yet with any of the races.
The only good thing about the last segment is there's no road crossings. You're like up on a ridge, and you're on. There's no other way to go. You can like try to bail out down the side of the ravine and die, or you can follow the trail till the end. So at least it's not like there's an out. So it's horrible, it's miserable, you think you're losing your mind, but there's no outs. You know what I mean? Like there's no other aid stations, there's no way you can drop, there's no way to bail out. So you just pretty much have to keep going or lie on the ground and die. These are the only options.
Some pretty extreme options, but that works.
That's literally, like if you talk to other people, like I had a couple other friends in the race, I'm like, yeah, that's it. And they're like, yeah, I considered the lie on the ground and die option, but it's so cold.
Yeah.
The wind was so cold, I thought it would take too long to die. So I just tried to go faster to stay warm. I mean, this is how you get the last 7 miles of the race. That's pretty much how it went for most people in it. Because you're up on this ridge and there's just this sideways wind and it's like 37 degrees, maybe, generously. And it didn't rain, but the air is damp. You know what I mean? Where there's a high dew point.
Yeah.
It's like it just gets in the bone. But it's not, if you have on layers, it's not cold enough to actually immediately freeze and die. So you'd have to lie on the ground for like an hour or two, shaking before you would, pass out from it. So it'd be really miserable. So you might as well just keep going.
That's the most positive way I've ever heard to look at that.
So sign up. It's a good time.
Oh, it was a very sweet finish, though. Like finishing a race like that. It was beautiful. It was a nice night. Nice.
It was clear. The moon was out.
And then the beautiful finish line lit up and just so yeah, I mean it just adds to the accomplishment. So it was a fun course though. I enjoyed it. I'd like to try. I'd actually like to do it again. Once I'm hopefully going to get this trench foot thing figured out. I'm starting to do a bunch of research and whatnot, but I really think that would have knocked about 5 hours off for me. It would have been interesting to see how it would have gone without that. What, down the road.
Yeah. We were doing that other thing in February.
Yeah, but Blood Rock's not in February. I'm talking about like in a year or two, like down the road. But yeah, we're already planning our next one. We're the Outlaw 100.
I asked people and they said it's as rocky as Blood Rock. I even found a guy that's run them both, and I think he's DNF'd one or the other of them or both, and also finished. And he said it's really close to even. So we found more fun things. It inspired us. We're like, let's find rocking courses.
So we shall see. But we both like technical, so
it sounds like you all had a lot of fun out there. Kind of wish I was there to witness some of this last aid station loops.
Remember my original race goal? My original race goal was to try to PR number of shots of whiskey drunk during 100 miles.
Oh, she did fail that.
I did fail because
there was a lot of leftover whiskey.
So I drop bagged in preparation for this, assuming that I would be hiking and taking like 40 something hours because I thought I was going to be too bad off. But also I'm really stubborn, so I figured I could always hike it out. That's 44 hours is a long cutoff. So I prepared myself with enough caffeine and huge amounts of calories and also whiskey, under the assumption that starting about mile 55 or 60, I would just start drinking whiskey. And I drank I think 4 shots. that was it. Because so no business is still my PR for that. I had like 10 shots during no business, during which I did hike out the entire night because I could not run because fried hamstring, but it's now recovered pretty much. But yeah, that was my original goal of Blood Rock. I forgot about that, was to try to PR amount of whiskey drunk during a 100-mile. Because if you're just hiking, then what the hell? You might as well drink the whole time.
I feel like you're on another level, and I just need to step up my game.
Yeah, I did not. That's not been my experience at a race yet. But
you gotta space them out and alternate it with caffeination and Tums so that you don't throw it up.
Okay.
You have to put Tums in. Like 20 minutes before each shot, you put in a Tums.
Okay.
And then you got to also pay attention to wear off, because I'm sure you've been to a bar.
Yes, of course.
And you know that once you get like you can't be like, oh, it's an hour drive home, I'll sober up at 1 in the morning. No, because you will pass out behind the wheel. Like, you might be sober, but you're gonna fall asleep and wreck your car anyway. You gotta just drink in your home or drink at your friend's. Like, you can't, because you get tired. You can't let it wear off while it's still dark out. You have to keep caffeinating. It won't make you sober, but it will keep you conscious, which is important.
Okay. Really
important. So, but I had these caffeinated mints and everything timed out and Tums to my stomach so it wouldn't respond badly. It was great. Super fun. But then I was doing well and I was like, well, shit. Everybody slowed down in front of me, and all of a sudden I was doing well. I was like, well, I guess I can't get drunk. I'm gonna have to really actually try in sports. I tried in sports instead. But I still had a little bit of whiskey because they had Woodford at an aid station. I kid you not. An aid station volunteer gave me an ounce of Woodford to drink, which I don't know if any of you all are bourbon drinkers.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Woodford is quality. Like, that's not something. Usually you get Fireball or Evan Williams or something like that. Like, you can't actually turn down Woodford though. Like, that's just not even ethical.
I don't know if I could turn down Fireball.
Like sober, you can't turn that down.
So,
wow.
Yeah, this is an amazing story of this how this went down. One of the aspects about this show that we enjoy so much is the live interaction with the audience, right? So, we got a couple questions for you coming in from the chat. And our first one is from Nick Voss, and he wants to know, how long did both of you run together, and what was the conversation like when you decided to move ahead, Lee? Or did you run together at all?
During the race?
No,
Yeah.
we don't run together.
Oh, no, we don't run together during races.
No.
We saw each other out and back a couple
Yeah,
times.
we crossed
So we're like,
paths. We're
I got a mid-race kiss, but we don't
we
run together.
No, we don't.
Just different timing.
No, we each run our own race.
Yeah.
We're not there to be like we're super sweet the rest of the time. We're both there to do our sport.
Nice.
Plus, she's content to run all night completely alone and does not care. I ran most of the night with a friend of mine, my friend Michael, who was at the race. We finished right next to me almost. I think we finished within seconds of each other. Yeah. And but we were together off and on. But no, she's content to run by herself. We both do our own thing. Neither of us wants to speed up or slow down on somebody else's thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we happened to get to the point that we were timing together on something for some reason, then that would be fine. But I don't want her. She's faster than me. I don't want her waiting for me. And
you know your controversial ultra running opinion?
What? I make people mad at me.
Okay, she's gonna make people super mad. She says, "What is this crew stuff?" She's new to ultras. What is this with having
That's
crew?
nothing about being new.
It's like bumper bowling. What the hell?
That's nothing about that. I just don't feel that they should be in the same category. I don't feel like a crew and somebody who's crewed and paced. I don't feel like somebody who's crewed and paced should be in the same category as somebody who's not. Like, for me, part of it is managing.
I want to see Western states with no crew and no pacers.
So I just don't think that. I think there should be two separate categories.
Oh,
that's all.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking anybody who does it. It's just such a different, I think, experience. Like you're not managing as
you're not managing yourself.
Yeah, it's different. Somebody who's not is managing a little bit more. So I just don't think that the times, that they should be kind of like scored the same essentially. They're looking at times, so that's all.
It's interesting because FKTs do the same thing. There's supported and unsupported versions of those times. So that's an interesting
I would
point.
love to see Western states done with nobody in the top 20 allowed to have any crew or pacers. I want to see everybody have to go out on their own and see, because crews and pacers is an advantage to local runners, elite people who are sponsored and therefore can get that, and rich people. Because if I can afford to fly my friend to the race, I can afford to fly my friend to the race. you can't, you got to do it on your own. I would just, now, so there's that. And then there's also just, I would love to see if everyone had to do it totally on their own. Like, sure, the people will cheer on the sideline, but you don't get to go have your special group encourage you. When you get in your hole and your pit of doom, you can either, because you can get aid station people to help you, but you got to like pick yourself up and try. You know what I mean? It's not, I would love to see people with nobody who really knows them and their personal preferences, like picking them back up and putting them back on the course. That'd be fun to see.
This would be a fantastic conversation for next week's Voss Talks that we'll be doing, our live call-in show.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, always looking for strong opinions on that show.
Controversial.
No, I mean, everyone should do what they love. I don't like 24s, but I'll pace friends at them. And for all that I say that, I've sat in a tent all night and paced different laps of a 24 because I have a friend that's super into that. And that's my friend. But then she's like, oh, come run one of them. I'm like, no. But you're there all night. Yes, because you're my friend and I love you and I support what's important to you. But no, I don't want to do that. That's horrible. I don't know how you do it. Well, why do you come? You're my friend and I love you. So like it could be both ways. I can think it's silly, but I can also love other people and care about them and respect that. There's plenty of people who think what I do is insane and silly. It's all good. Everybody gets to do what they want.
That's a fair point. It certainly reminds me of my sister coming to crew me for races and still just being like so out of it and not caring about the culture. Just being like, yeah, you know, you're there, so I'll show up.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so with that said, Lee, you mentioned that crewed and supported races, one of the people that it benefits is rich people, and that you mentioned, flying all your friends out to these races. Do you think, and maybe this is another strong controversial opinion that should be on Voss Talks, do you think that if you're asking somebody to come out to crew for you for a race, that they should have to pay for plane tickets, hotels, anything like that?
I never ask anybody.
Okay.
Because I do not know. And no, I take that back. I asked one friend once in like 2014. I did the slam for my 4th, 5th, 6th, and 700s. And I did, basically a friend said, do Leadville. And I said, no, it's road, it's a stupid course. And he said, well, original hundreds, what if you get the slam? I had one ticket in that Western States lottery. And I was like, oh yeah, well, in front of the home running group at a Western States lottery party. Oh, well, if I get picked, I'll just do the slam. Then I'll run Leadville with you. Whatever. I'd been drinking. And guess what happened? Got a bid on one ticket. Couldn't back out. Had to do it. So I did get a friend to pace me Wasatch. And I did help out with that. But he actually did want to also come out. He was like also an ultra runner and wanted to. And a couple other times, like I've had someone pace me, they lived in the area of the race and were like, oh, hey, I want to come run some of that course. You don't use pacers. I was like, well, you want to come run with me? Come run with me. What do you need? I don't need anything. I can't pace you. I'm like, you can come to the aid station and run to the finish next to me. It'll be super fun. We'll hang out. I don't need anything. Because like I put things in my drop bags prepared for that. So I don't know. Here's what I think. You have a marriage or marriages or whatever situation you have. There's people that are poly. There's people that are monogamous. There's people that do what they do. There's people that are asexual. What's best? You figure out the thing that makes you happy. So you and your friend, you got to sort that out. I don't think there's a right and wrong on that. I think you better have an open conversation with your people so that you both know what the expectations are, so that nobody's unhappy. Otherwise, you'll wreck your friendship over a whole bunch of huge stressful situations, and that would suck, because friendships are cool. I don't think there's a right and wrong. I actually really dislike when people get in really heated arguments about what you should do, because I feel like it's up to you, your friendship, your pacers, your crew. Y'all sort that out, because people have all these opinions on that. I want to see some races ban all of it, just because I think it would be entertaining to see what happens to some of the people that I've met that are getting weighted on hand and foot when they can't have that, whether they'll actually still have the nerve to show up and whether it will affect their race, or whether they maybe don't need as much as they think they need. So that's a curiosity. But that's totally separate from, that's between you and your crew. Y'all sort it out. I don't care. That's up to you. That's like what you and your wife have as an arrangement, or you and your husband, or you and whoever. I got enough to keep my own life in order. I I mean, maybe your crew is coming out because they're rich and they just
Mhm.
want to spend some money to go be involved in the ultra scene, but they don't actually want to have to run 100. I don't know. There's people that do that. Like they get off on
Mhm.
crewing. That's their thing. Like it's a sport for them. I don't get it. But I also don't get that Canadian sport where you slide the thing on the ice. But it's a thing. No, seriously, it's in the Olympics.
No, I know. Just your description of it really got me there.
That's what do you call that?
Curling.
It's curling.
That
Yes.
curling. I just want to call it something else.
Let's each do that.
Ironing? It's like ironing, where you let go.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't let go of my iron though. I mean,
I don't. Yeah, usually that stays in my hand. But
Yeah, it's ironing where you let go. You just
but then you have the
like
people
3-4
sweeping
lines.
in front of it.
I'm confused about that part, but
Frankly, I don't know what it does either. But
I'm confused by golf.
yes.
So
golf's fun.
I've never tried.
It's more about drinking than it is about playing golf, at least for me.
I did do frisbee golf where you throw the frisbees,
Mm-hmm.
and actually they did drink some. They did other things also at the frisbee golf. The people were always high at the frisbee golf.
That's.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I would say that sounds pretty par for the course.
Oh, pun
I mean,
intended.
it's slowly going legal everywhere. I think it's okay to mention. The people I met that were doing the frisbee golf were very fans of being high. Very. The alternate frisbee people too. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why certain sports have that as like part of the sport. I couldn't do that at ultra running. All good. Like I've hung out with Avery Collins. That dude can do stuff high. I would be sitting on the side of the mountain, enjoying the hell out of the view, not running. Not running at all. But there's people that can run high. Go them. I drink whiskey and run, and there's people that don't do that, so I don't judge.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I didn't know there were hills in Alabama. That was the other thing about Blood Rock. When I originally signed up with her idea, I didn't look at the race at all. I went, Blood Rock, oh, look, that's a super cool buckle. You see, it's super cool.
Yes.
Mine's upstairs. Oh, it's a super cool buckle. There is actually a Blood Rock on the course. Did you know that?
No.
Did not see that. No.
So the course goes up this hill. There's a mountain bike trail. And the mountain bike trail goes way down and way down and way down. I would love to take my mountain bike there, except I think that I would get broken. And there's this rock that sticks out of the side, but it's right after a corner, so you can't see it. And it sticks like 2 feet out into the way of things. So if you take the wrong line, you're going to hit it. And people have spray painted it red. And also there's stains on it because people hit this rock. It's the Blood Rock because it causes a lot of bleeding and fractures. But it's embedded in the side of the hill, and the way it's loaded, they can't dig it out, so it's the Blood Rock. So there's an actual Blood Rock, and there were mountain bikers coming down in the afternoon when I passed it, and they pointed it out to us and told us why. So that was super cool. But also, it's Alabama. So she was like, oh, originally this was supposed to be her first 100. She planned her whole year. It was going to be her first 100.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I could use another 100 in my year. December, Alabama. Oh, that'll be a flat, easy 100. That's probably just gonna be like little groomed things. It'll be like the Mark Twain Trail. It'll be great. Sure. Sign up. Don't read anything. Did not look at a single course description or even photo of the trail until the week before, and even then, negligibly. So also, didn't research at all, really. No. There's actually hills and rocks.
Technical. You're like,
I think it's like the glaciers receded, and they left this giant ridge of rocks. It's beautiful.
So at what point did you go, oh shit, when you realized that there was a lot of hills?
Oh, but it's medium hills. That's 25,000 feet of gain. That's not horrible. Like Orcus is like that. So I've done like Cruel Jewel twice, Hellbender 3 times, Orcus Island 3 times. Like those things all have hills.
I prefer courses like this. Like I'm not a fast runner, but when you get a course like Blood Rock, it's kind of fair game. It's not about who's fast anymore,
That's true.
I like technical courses like this one.
Yeah, your fast half marathon time will do you no good at Blood Rock.
Right.
It will probably hurt you.
Yeah.
It will probably, yeah. Running fast is problematic there.
Yeah. So I don't particularly enjoy the flat stuff. So stuff like this, like you're saying, like the one we want to do in February, also technical. Like I like the technical courses.
Actually, I think it's the same amount of games.
I think there was a little more climb than I was anticipating on this one. That's for sure. But
I think we have
that's
100.
still
We
fun.
have 100K in May that has, I think, 18,000 feet of gain in 100K. That's really great.
So yeah, I guess we liked it. So it wasn't too appalling to find out how it actually was.
Okay. And so with kind of all that said, then for each of y'all, what was your happiest moment out there on the course?
Finish.
Okay.
I think, right? I mean, there was some other
Yeah, I
moments.
mean, it was a fun race, but yeah, I think just getting there, like, especially for me, like being out there for so long and having such a long last 7 miles, definitely it was just a great finish. And I think for both of us too, it's just been like I said, with the COVID and the things, like we haven't been getting out to train, we haven't been getting to do that as much, just getting out and running in general. So I think getting to that finish line and knowing that we made it, and you know, both of us got there, that it was nice to just have that relief of like, oh, you know, this was a decent race. Like it wasn't another DNF. Like, you know, so that, yeah, I mean, as fun as the whole race was, I think just that getting there and having a decent race, even though we didn't get the training in that we wanted, was a really good feeling.
So we got another chat question coming at you from Wesley Harden, and he wants to know what gravitates you both to such hard hundreds, and does it make the finishing more rewarding?
I don't understand the question.
What like makes you gravitate towards the harder, more difficult or challenging races? Technical.
Those fun ones.
Those are more fun ones. Why is that more fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think more
Those are the fun ones.
But kind of like I was like, for me, like I was saying, the more technical, not up, I struggle with. That's my weakness as a runner. But technical down, I would say I can do above average. So for me, I gravitate towards courses like this, kind of like I was saying, because then it's more of a fair game. Kind of anybody could win. It's not about who has the fastest marathon time anymore. With the hundreds, they're considered easy.
Yeah, you could have.
It's still who runs the fastest marathon. And
you could be able
me.
to run an 8-minute mile. You could have a real struggle running an 8-minute mile. But if you train right, you can still have a very good chance of doing well at something like Blood Rock. Also, if you finish Blood Rock, everyone's impressed. Did you finish it? Yes, I finished it. No one's like, oh, with a marathon or even an easy one. Oh, what was your time? Everyone's like, you finished that? Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, good on you. Like it's no longer even about your time.
Well, it becomes about like grit and strength. Like it's no longer about speed, and that's what I love.
Willingness to hallucinate and crawl.
Like I was a fat kid in high school, you know, and the track girls were the worst. You know, the nasty blonde-haired, blue-eyed track girls. I think I was just trying to explain this to somebody where it's like probably some of those girls could still beat me at a marathon. Probably a lot of them could, but I don't think any of them could finish Blood Rock. And so I think that's the appeal of something like that. It becomes more about mental strength than just who runs fastest. And that's what I like. I don't know if you, and they're fun. Like it's just
mostly
they're not boring. Like you're just constantly being challenged and it's stimulated. I guess
they're mostly fun. I tried to run a flat 100 at Yeti, and I had a DNF, and I couldn't run right for a month, and I did PT because I had a partial Achilles tear. So I tried to run fast for too long in a row. I realized since that I could train appropriate to the race, but I don't like running flat on road. Like there's folks that, you know, the people that they're like, oh shit. And then they do laps of the parking lot because their watch says that they haven't hit an even number. The people that have the CDO, my friends that have it told me it's not called OCD, it's called CDO because it's alphabetical. You have to put they explained it. I don't understand. But they run parking lot laps. And this is okay. This is okay. Mostly road runners. And I have friends are like, no, I run trails. I'm like, what's your marathon PR? Instant answer. Yeah, know what mine is? Never run a road marathon. Don't know. They're road runners. They're road runners that come out on the trails and visit us, and that's okay. I'm a trail runner that occasionally visits road running friends. I ran a road 4-miler. I was in pain the whole entire time. is definitely an interesting challenge. But no, I think it's a different type of challenge, and it's down to personal preference. And it's definitely not because it's harder. It's because it's more enjoyable to me. Like, I really, really like being way out in the woods on brand new trails and seeing views and climbing up and down stuff. It makes me happy.
It's funny that you said that about the watch, though, 'cause tonight we went for a run and it came up to 0.97, and when I saw it was 0.97, I wanted to get the 0.03, but I knew you'd make fun of me.
I don't even know where my watch is right now. I would have made fun of you.
Yeah, I know you were. That's why it's 0.97 on my Strava.
Karmell, I'm glad you brought that up because I was feeling quite embarrassed about running back and forth down the alley behind my apartment today to get that flat.
Don't let her make you feel small. Don't let her do it.
No, I just don't relate to it. No, it's okay. I just don't relate to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that can tell you, there's women, there's people that can tell you their exact 1 rep max for a list of weightlifting exercises, some of which, if I try to explain, I won't even be using the term correctly. I mean, their power clean versus their clean and jerk versus their, the things. There's things. And this is very important to them. And I don't know my numbers for that. I have no earthly idea. Teach their own.
Yeah.
You know?
Whatever makes them happy.
Yeah. But the very highly technical courses in the mountains make me super, like, I was happy almost this whole race. Like, there were some moments where I had some physical discomfort, but I did not have any tearfulness. Like, I was happy pretty much the whole race. There were a couple of minutes when I just felt really tired, but overall, or really cold. There was one time I did some acrobatics to avoid going, but I was happy almost entirely the whole time. And that's usually the case, that I'm happy almost the whole time. Like, I don't really want to quit. I generally really enjoy being out in the woods a lot, and trails that do that. Like, left to my own devices to go pick a hiking or jogging route, I'll always pick the one that's ridiculous. And if I don't get my miles, I don't care. I don't actually know my exact miles per week. I know my exact workouts. The tire toe is returning because hilly races in the spring, and this could have been done faster. My climbing is a little bit reduced because we live in Ohio, and we have a technique which I've used to train for mountain races and things like Cruel Jewel. You take the car tire. Do you want to know about this?
Yeah, I'm
yes,
very
of
interested.
course.
So you take a car tire.
Okay.
And drill a hole through the middle of it, like the not the sidewall, but like the part that would be on the pavement. You have to drill a guide hole, otherwise, because steel belted radials. You make a little guide hole, and then you make a bigger hole, and then you put an eye bolt through it and screw the bolt on, and then you tie 8 feet of rope to it and attach it to either a backwards weightlifting belt or your internal frame pack, and then you just jog, and it bounces along the sidewalk behind you. And just once a week, you just do this, and you work up to like 6 or 7 miles of this. It's just slow jog, and then because you have to, if you carry weight on your body, you put your knees at risk unless you have a super strong posterior chain, but also you're just pounding. Whereas with the tire, you have to lean forward, which is the body angle of going uphill, right? Cause you know what I mean? Like, I have to actually, especially with the pack with the chest strap, I have to actually angle my body forward to make myself keep going, because the tire is dragging 8 feet behind me. So you have to lean forward, and then it bumps stuff and bounces unpredictably, which is kind of like when you're running hard and your foot hits a thing and your foot moves and you didn't want it to. So it makes you work your core and your stabilizers. I'm gonna certainly do some cross training for those. But so it's very comparable to having to, and then it makes it hard to breathe. So it's very comparable to having to go up like a 5 or 6 mile climb. It's like that is very helpful for things like the Bear. Like, I did High Lonesome while living here, and it went pretty decent. And a couple of races out west that are like that, and it definitely, so you want to tow a tire behind you. And for something that's technical, sure, you're not dealing with altitude, but you're dealing with the unsteady footing makes you use twice as much muscle because you're using all these little accessory muscles. Like, you might not be taking a big step or having trouble breathing, but you have to use half your stabilizers that you wouldn't have to use on a smooth trail. More muscles means more oxygen demand. So if you're used to towing this damn tire around with this thing compressing your chest, so the footing's unstable. Get a wobble board, strengthen your ankles, and then you're going to be used to that from that once a week of jogging with the tire. It's all easy. Now, the tire jogging, very boring. So what we do is we do it at this cool park where people go to walk, to their after work walks, and they all think we're completely insane. It's in like a populous, hip neighborhood with bars around it. And so people cheer, people yell, people take pictures of us in video for their personal Facebooks when we do this. And also then we drink beer after. So you have to invite friends and have a reward system. And then it's pretty good. It's still some suffering, but so
Tire
there's definitely
Tuesday is coming back.
Tired
Tired
Tuesday.
Tired Tuesday.
next week. Tired Tuesday.
So how big of a tire is it supposed to be? Because when you first said tire, I was thinking like those ones that those strength guys flip, and I'm like, there's no way you're running with that. Like a regular
So,
car size tire, or
It depends
something?
how big you are. Like I have one friend that has like actually a spare tire from a car, like a donut.
Mhm.
Because she
Okay.
weighs 112 pounds and is like 5'2", right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a buddy that he's like, I think he's all legs. So he weighs like 180 at like 5'10" and has limited upper body, but quads. Like I think his quad and my waist are almost the same size. So he has like a pickup truck tire, but he has to lean his body forward at that weight.
Mhm.
I have just a regular car tire. So you definitely want to start a little smaller and take walk breaks at first. And if you don't do any dynamic core stuff, not a static plank, but like a dynamic core, do that. Because, keep your back healthy. If it makes your back hurt, stop doing it until you can get stronger to stabilize. If you're getting back pain from an exercise, you're either doing it wrong or you are lacking core strength, or both. Fix it, because don't get injured. Because you could injure yourself. Like joint pain is not a good sign. If all of your muscles hurt and it hurts to breathe, you're doing it right. If you have joint pain in your hips or knees, or especially in your low back, you gotta go and see PT, or you gotta do some dynamic core, because don't get yourself wrecked. Because don't rupture discs. It's no fun. I've done it. It sucks. Not because of the tire, because of other dumb sports. Because ultra running is not my first sport. This is my sport now, because I have to have a calmer, gentler, kinder sport, because I can't do really contact sports anymore. Ever. Just concussions and things. Many things. No more contact sports.
I don't even have words.
Yeah. So
This tire thing is the greatest thing I've heard in such a long time.
I would say I think Tire Tuesday belongs on a T-shirt if it isn't already. We'll have to give this a shot and make a video for y'all.
If we recruit our run club friends, they'll make sure. So they're super into doing that.
Oh, they probably could.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question? I missed that.
We're
Somebody
gonna-
was talking.
He wants to
No.
make a video. We want to come down and shoot you guys.
Well, I would probably be better if like me, you, and Wesley did it, but that might be a little difficult for us.
Well, you
I don't
can
know if-
walk. You walk for some. You could do it.
No, and what's amazing, I like to do, so if you do like a few miles with the tire on, what's amazing is when you take the tire off, I like to do a lap after that, because then you just feel like, like it's just, you feel like you're flying then. You're just, I'm going so fast. I mean, you're not really, I don't think. Like it feels like you are. It feels amazing.
No, that's some training stuff like that. If you just do it once a week, it's amazing how fast. Like I think a lot of people just try to grind out miles to get the number. I don't really. So like obviously on the day that I do Tire Tuesday, I could do a slow 15 on trail for the same amount of muscle soreness that I'm getting from doing 6 miles towing the tire around the park. So my total weekly mileage is lower. I'm not gonna hit some year goal. I'm not gonna hit my rate streak, but I'm gonna be a lot stronger. So you just got to decide what your priority is. I think some folks training with their main thing instead of training to race. The training things are actually their goals, which is completely okay. But I think it's important to pause and decide what your goal is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say that, like, as of a year ago, my longest distance was a half marathon. And when we started, like, training together, I kept thinking, oh, we're not doing enough. We're not going far enough. But, we never had that high volume of weeks. Like, I think the highest we did was like 75, but I think we mostly kept it around like 60-mile weeks, but concentrated on the strength training. And I think that paid off a lot more than focusing on the mileage.
But if you're going for like the 24-hour track record, you would need way higher volume. Like the folks doing that,
I guess it's the kind of courses we're doing. But
if you want to
do the reason it paid off.
I just don't want to run high volume, and I can't. I'm too injured, and like I have too much chronic damage to be doing super high volume. So.
No.
Plus, I don't like it. I'd rather go do multiple sports.
Yeah, exactly. It's time consuming. It's worked out. Like
there's other sports.
I was a naysayer. I was a disbeliever, but it worked out.
All right. And so with that said, we're going to move on to our quick questions that we usually end the show with. So the first one is, and we may already know the answer to this for Lee, and it's probably going to be whiskey, but what is one thing you can't leave an aid station without?
I actually probably transition through most aid stations in 30 seconds. I don't eat food. So I have,
Mhm.
I actually, I like the whiskey, but I can run the race without it. I
Mhm.
actually, usually set up my drop bags to run completely calorie independent and only need them to have water, and very rarely eat anything. So I ran Blood Rock on between 6,500 and 7,000 calories of Roctane or Tailwind, mostly
Mhm.
Roctane, in my water bottle, and about 14 or 15 gels, which were rotated between, I think, Spring and Puma and Muir this time.
Okay.
But yeah, because I had those lemonade. But like I'm tolerant of most brands, although Vanilla Goo, I had this experience at Hurt that involves some projectile things happening, and I can't anymore. But other than that, and the consistencies are, but I can tolerate a lot of brands, and I can tolerate
Mhm.
most of the powder brands. So I usually put 300 to 350 calories of powder in my water bottle per aid station, and then carry
Mhm.
gel to backstop the calories. And if I get dehydrated, I'll just drink a bottle of water before I refill.
Mhm.
But usually I have the powder in my water bottle when I show up at the aid station because I finish it off with a half mile to go. Tear the end off the baggie from my pocket, dump that in a jog. I get to the aid station, all I have to do is ask them for water out of their pitcher, and then I just keep going. So I often transition through aid stations in 20 to 30 seconds. I don't sit down. I don't do much at all unless I have to change socks or shoes, which I ran the same shoes this whole race. I changed socks once, so that I had one like 4 or 5 minute stop. Other than that, 20 to 60 seconds per aid station usually. I had a 2 minute stop for a shot at one time because they were super social with me. I had to dance a little minute. But
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't really
similarly,
aid station.
yeah, I'm vegan and I'm also a picky eater, so I try to just have all my own nutrition
Mhm.
set. I try not to rely on the aid stations, not necessarily knowing what's going to be there. At the Bear, I think I ate like 100 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from the aid stations, though. Like, I don't know what came over me, but they all just looked good. So I was all about the peanut butter and jelly that day. Uh, but yeah, other than that, I try to have all of my own stuff for the most part. I'd say sock changes, like because I'm so prone to trench foot, I can't get it ingrained in my head where it's like during the I'm a freak. During the race, it's like I'm always thinking, no, I gotta save time. And it's like logically, I know if I would just change my damn socks and do what I need to do with my feet, that it would shave so much time off the race. But I always just get it in my head where it's like, no, I'm doing good and I want to blow through this aid station. So yeah, I mean, I should not leave more aid stations than I need to. Wherever there's a drop bag, I think next time I'm gonna be just trying to like put
Mhm.
socks like all over the course. Like that. I mean, I'm just for some reason just super prone to it, even if it's not a wet course. Like there were only a couple of creek crossings at this last one. It wasn't a wet course, but I still got the problem so bad. And when that happened, like it becomes just excruciatingly painful to run on. So yeah, I think taking the time to do that. But as far as relying on actual aid station amenities, I try not to. So, water. Yeah, that's a big one. H2O, but yeah.
All right.
Actually, oh, go ahead.
No, you go. You guys have been
Oh,
telling great stories.
horrible. They had an unmanned aid station at Blood Rock
Mhm.
on a folding table with just like a water jug. The guy
Mhm.
in front of me, like the one jug ran out, so he was like trying to fill it. And he set it back down on the table, but it wasn't totally balanced, so it tipped over, and all the water from the billy goat's gruff spilled all over. So nobody
Look, these are very nice people, but they didn't think to come through.
nobody had water. I felt so bad.
They said a
water.
5-gallon jug, like you used to refill a water cooler with. You know what I'm talking about? 5 gallons.
Mhm.
Weighs 40 pounds. They set it on a folding table on dirt in the woods, unmanned. So I'm supposed to, as a runner, I upper body strength train and everything, but I'm supposed to like, I know you can tilt it, but I can't tilt it by the neck. It's full. When I got there, it was completely full. But the one that you could use that was actually a regular like spigot one was empty.
Mhm.
Because they'd had a 4-gallon spigot control one. That was empty. So I was going to have to hold the thing in my arm and lean it to fill my own water because I have to fill my water bottle. I can't set it on the ground.
I mean, we fixed it after that, but yeah, I felt so bad because the people after us had no water. Like the jug
and then
rolled down into the creek, and I went and I got it, but I wasn't.
She was like 5'1.5" and like all of 110, and like so you're supposed to. And Jamila's that size too. Like you got women in this race that are like 5'2". You got a 40-pound 5-gallon jug with no handle. You're supposed to tilt it.
So,
and without that aid station, you're going 11 miles with no water.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Thank God it was cold.
I was like, I'll tell them, but it took me like a couple hours to get to the next day. So it's like,
same.
I mean, you probably know by now.
I was like, hey, have one of your volunteers, have one of your girl volunteers pick up that jug right there, put it on the table.
I felt guilty every time I was like taking a sip of my water for that whole stretch because I was just thinking about the people behind me with like no water.
I couldn't refill, but it was cold out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was also mad because I have a Catadin B-Free and I have water purification tablets, which I carry when I do races that say there will be long gaps. This race listed like they were going to definitely have everything supplied and everything had road access and it would be no problem. But they're very nice people. Artie's great. I don't want to say anything bad about them. But like they definitely, and pandemic leaves everyone short of volunteers. So I think they were short volunteers because pandemic and usually have someone there. And every race is having trouble getting volunteers because so many of the volunteers are family members or they're people that have families and they cannot run this risk of picking something up. So it's definitely races are short volunteers right now.
Yeah, well, when I went through the next time, they had a totally different setup. Though.
So because the 50K,
they
set it up for 50K.
But I did feel bad.
It wasn't dangerous. It was just frustrating.
No, yeah, I mean, they had to go quite a bit.
Yeah, I had to actually go low on calories and eat a bunch of gels and catch up. That was my one spot where I got low on calories because I couldn't do my powder.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But we all survived.
It's you know.
So, hallucinations. I think we talked about these a little bit, but what are your best or worst hallucinations that you may have had? Not just this race, just all together.
I mean, this for me was my first time really experiencing it at the Bear. The only thing that I've ever come close to like really having that, like at the Bear, it was like the middle of the night and I really wanted to be at the aid station and I thought I heard the aid station and saw the lights through the trees. And then I tripped on a rock and had like the biggest wipeout I've ever had. And when I got up, I looked and there was like, there's no aid station. There's nothing there. But that's it. Like, so this for me was just crazy. Like, you know, I've heard about people hallucinating, but
for me,
this was just,
I hallucinate
this was, yeah, this was next level with like the unicorns and the leaves.
Do you remember I had the picture of
grandma talking to me and everything?
Do you remember I kept showing you around the picture? And I was, look, the rock with the comic, and there was nothing on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There was a comic, and I couldn't read the comic printed on the rock because I thought it was my vision. So I took a picture of it with my cell phone because I had my cell phone in my pocket because the course was on one of those apps. I had the GPX so in case. So I took my phone out, I took a picture because I was thinking about the comic on the rock and the fact that I could read it later because you can enlarge it on your phone screen. There's no comic. But there was a rock. When I show my friends the picture later, at least, there was a rock. That is, no.
Well, yeah,
I've had some weird
ones. Or there was one point too where I was like, oh my God, what's that? And I thought it was this old woman with a cauldron. And Deidre's like, what? And I'm like, oh no, it's just a stump. But then she looked at it and she was like, oh, it does kind of look like an old woman with a cauldron. So that made me feel better. It was a stump that looked like an old woman with a cauldron. But I mean, she saw it too. So.
Oh wait, do you know what a tribble is? Does anyone know what tribbles are? Tribbles.
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, do you know what original Star Trek is?
I do not. I hate to break it to you.
Star Trek?
I'm more of a Star Wars person. I really haven't watched Star Trek in a long
Star
time.
Trek, you know of it.
Yes.
Tribble, which are like guinea pigs, except they're rounder and fuzzier, and they reproduce like gremlins.
Ooh, gremlins!
And they
I do
exist
like.
So when I was running Tahoe Rim Trail, I was trying to get up that climb between 80 and 82, and there were tribbles, and they were all over the ski slope, and I could see them, and there were a bajillion of them, and they were squeaking like tribbles do, and I suddenly realized they were tribbles, and so I knew that I was hallucinating. I was like, oh, I'm just asleep. I knew. I wasn't delirious. I was just dreaming. So I took out one of those the crack gels, those double espresso gels that are like, and I ate it, and I still couldn't see. So I sat on one of those drainage cut-throughs, and I woke up later. But I never, I zipped my jacket up and ate the crack gel because I thought at least, I have my jacket zipped with my hood up, I won't freeze. And I meant to turn my light off, but I apparently did not. And I thought I just sat down to rest because that's the last thing I remember. And then I could hear voices. And I hear these people talking, and I hear this guy go, oh, what is that? What's on the hill? He's a runner, but he's got a pacer with him, but I didn't know, like I'm asleep, but when you're like drunk sleepy and you're trying to wake up, but you can't, but you can hear your friends talking. This was that state of mind. lying there on the hill, and I hear him, and then I think, oh no, the tribbles are real, but it's some kind of local rodent. They're real. And then I hear this woman go, 1 foot in front of the other, just keep going, you're fine. And I think, oh good. And then I hear her go, oh shit. And I think in my mind, oh God, I'm gonna die. And I think I can feel rodents on me. I start trying to sit up, but I can't because I'm asleep. I'm like trying to make myself sit up and wake up. And it turns out what's happened is that she's realized also what's going on, which is that I fell asleep with my rain jacket on, with the hood over my light, and so I look like a glow because of the drainage cut through. Because it's a ski hill. That's a ski hill. It's part of the Tahoe ski resort. So all they can see is the glow, but she realizes that glow has to be a person passed out on the hill. So that's why she says, "Oh shit!" But he got to me first. So he's like thinking I'm a dead body because he's delirious. Grabbed a hold of me. I sat up and screamed because something was touching me and I thought I was going to die of rodents covering me. And he screamed because he thought I was a dead body, and I sat up. And we both almost fell all the way down the hill, and then she made us both sit down and have another jump. That was cool. And then one time at Black Hills 100, I was hallucinating when I was watching her. Hey, get me a beer. This is the best. Okay, this is the best and weirdest, and I shouldn't tell you this story. It's extremely objectionable. Don't let your children listen to this. I was near the end of Black Hills, the year that it had really bad air quality, and half the race dropped at 42. And I hung in. I actually won that one. It was super cool. But I was coming back the next morning, and I was watching this weird internet porn. Weird. And this couple's having sex, and I can't tell if there's a third person. And then I can't figure out if I'm in the porn or watching the porn. And then I realize I'm in the porn. Like the perspective keeps shifting. So I'm watching, and then I'm watching for a while, and I keep ending up being in the porn. And this goes on like for a while. This is like 10 a.m. Yeah. I warned them. So I'm watching this, and I get super confused about the roles. And I don't even know which person gender-wise. Like I started realizing that I couldn't figure out which person I was, and that didn't make sense. Like I should at least know what delicates I have. And then I realized, shit, I've fallen asleep. This must be a hallucination. So then I woke up and I realized I'm standing on these amazingly beautiful cliffs. There's the sun, but then now I'm turned on. Because I've been watching porn for the last 15 damn minutes. So then, like, I look around the trail, there's no one. So I had to, like, withdraw myself off the trail onto the rocks and resolve matters, which took about 5 minutes because there's already body glide and everything. It was successful in 5 minutes flat.
And then did you place?
Record, I won. Record for satisfying myself during a race because of an in-race hallucination. Ran the race out, but it was like probably 16 miles to go. And that is the single weirdest, craziest thing that has ever happened to me. Okay, that's not entirely true. But the weirdest hallucination.
Wow.
I've also been a place that got shut down and I got stuck overnight in a weird refuge somewhere. But that was a whole different, not a hallucination. That really happened. Yeah, that's my weirdest hallucination story. Black Hills 100.
That's just Hall of Fame right there. That'll never get topped.
It was, I was amazed. It's weird. Really weird. But I actually remember what I was watching on the porn almost as well as I remember the view from the overlook. Like they're almost even images in my head. It's super weird.
Glad you asked.
But they're still not people I know. Like it's not, I don't even watch that much porn. It's not even a porn I've ever seen. Like it's not like some favorite memory porn. It's super weird. So confused.
I'm sorry, John. I know I'm supposed to have questions.
I think you've killed Cam.
I can't.
What have you done?
Well, no, I mean, if you run enough hundreds, all the things happen.
I just love that we've gone from on this show because we had Arlen Glick's shit story on this. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's a good episode to go watch. Where he had to
There's so much pooping at all things.
exit really quickly because he couldn't make it to the next porta potty on the side of the canal corridor towpath.
I had to do 11 of those at Leadville. I had to go 11 separate times over Hope Pass the 2 different ways off the trail because of emergencies. That was when I learned about altitude and GI issues. I've since rectified the problems.
Learn something new. Cam's
serious. But I resolved it quick.
Correct. Cam, you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be back to normal in a minute, I promise.
And it's funny, we were going to transition to like
I think
the
that
last
only
piece.
happens to women though. No, like I've talked to guy friends, and I think like blood flow just goes away from that when you're a guy.
I've
for
never
women,
experienced that.
Yeah, I
think
can
it's
say I've never had a
different.
desire on the trail to.
It's different.
Oh, I
For,
got
just, I think this is just like a difference in delicates. I mean, I've also never taken my balls, but I think that's because of no balls. It's a different blood flow things.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe you should run.
in case of emergencies.
Well, I guess I'm good on my own. Probably quicker. Plus, I don't think
Oh,
I like
thanks.
to kind of
Wow.
go. You don't think it's quicker by yourself sometimes? It's not as enjoyable, but like it's quicker if you're trying to get to the end of the race. The goal isn't pleasure. The goal is
You're trying to place.
just get it out of the way and keep going, right?
Just I'm offended right now. No, don't touch me. No. Sorry.
Wait, you finish your beer.
Okay. So one last question, and we'll let you go. We want to thank y'all again so much for coming on the show tonight. Y'all have been great guests. But so what is your dream race or ultimate goal race, the one you want to do the most of any right now?
Tour de Géant and Diagonal de Fou.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we talked about doing that one last year. We had like a weird system, right? I mean, it was.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're gonna get in that. Yeah, I would say that's definitely out there.
But Tour de Géant's just stupid. Have you heard of Tour de Géant?
I have. I don't know if
It's
John
in
has.
Italy. It's 206 miles, no stages, 80,000 feet of gain.
Yeah.
But you get 6 days. But there's no stages. Sleep in if you want. People stay awake for 3 days in a row. But Diagonal de Fou is on an island off the coast of Madagascar.
Yeah, yeah, that appeals.
And has 52-hour time limit because apparently that's kind of tight. Ooh, but yeah, Sabrina Stanley just won it like in 19. She's the first American to ever win it, which is amazing. And now I'm super motivated, but I will not win it. But I will have a super good time. But I looked at her time and what she said about it, and because we chatted about once, and I could definitely do it like 10 or 11 hours slower.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do that one as well. I mean, I stopped even looking at the international race because it's so painful right now. I mean, we were supposed to go to Romania in May and Thailand in October, and well, for now, it's just better to not even look at them. I mean, I'm hoping that 2021.
No, because
Yeah,
we're both gonna get priority vaccination.
Yeah, hopefully with 2021 we'll be able to travel again. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be more international.
You're just gonna have to present your proof of vaccination and they'll let you travel.
But I like I said, I stopped even scoping them.
I'll be in the
because it was
January
just
roll.
like, who knew how long it was going to be before we could go international again. So, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna. For starters, it will just be nice to do the ones we were supposed to do in 2020, like
Get vaccinated.
Transylvania 100 and Romania.
Transylvania 100K. 100K that has a 24-hour time limit because it has 18,000 feet of gain and is more technical than Blood Rock.
We had the whole trip planned, so hopefully we'll get to do that in 2021, and maybe I don't know if we decide we want to do Thailand since that got canceled. What was that? I don't even remember what the one was called, but
We're gonna do that other one.
But yeah. So the international stuff, I think, is the
Once a year.
sweet stuff. Yeah.
Sadly, Ronda del Sims fell because of pandemic. They canceled and got death threats. People are douchebags. And so now there's no more Ronda del Sims. That's okay because people putting on the race are going to bring back something new in the same area soon. It's in the Pyrenees, which is super cool. Otherwise, we just have to go run, what do you even call it? Ultra Trail of Hunmalak, northern Spain.
Yeah.
I want to run one international race here. It's my new life goal.
One a year.
I did
one or two.
I did Ultra Trail. I did Ultra Trail Cape Town last year. I got my first DFL of life. Now I was sick, but good God, that's a hard course. Our notion of technical here is just silly. Blood Rock is not technical. People need to travel some because Blood Rock. I'm here to tell you, go do like the Pyrenees or go do something like Ultra Trail Cape Town. Compared to Ultra Trail Cape Town, holy shit. Like there's non-technical runnable sections and there's a lot of them, but the technical sections, oh my God, you couldn't even get it permitted here. And the stuff in the Pyrenees, like, oh yeah, now we're gonna do this 200-meter section that's gonna just be all fixed chains where if you let go, you'll probably fall off the mountain and die. Just don't let go. There's scary stuff out there. Because Ronda del Sims had 33,000 feet of gain in the 100K. In the 100K, that's the same amount of climb as in Cruel Jewel or Hard Rock, but in 100 kilometers.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. You just go up the whole time.
I know, which is how yeah. So there's also just, you have to have perspective. Although there's a difference between footing issues and just having to scale the side. But there's some fun stuff out there. So I want to have interesting. I did one in Colombia that goes in the deepest canyon in South America and the mountains in North Colombia. I did that a couple years ago. That's fun. That was 100 miles. It took me like 32 hours to get second place. That was some nonsense. This is 112 degrees the one day.
We actually have this like whole dry erase board with like it had like our 2020, 2021,
and then
2022,
yeah, we have like a dry
all the
erase board.
races we wanted to do, and it mostly has to do with where we want to travel. Yeah, take them over.
This is the dry erase board
field trip
of all the races.
This is the first ever on Ridge Runners.
So this is the dry erase board
Yeah.
of like so you see how it's just got like some stuff. So this is like the dry erase board of just all of the idiot stuff that we want to run. And it's not even all of it. It's like most of it.
We try to get like we think about places we want to travel, and then try and there's a race there, and just try and mesh it all together. Because I mean, we're big into like adventure, into running, and then into the travel. So we try to just kind of mix it all together so we can do it all. It's all at the same time, all in the same go. So, yeah, hopefully this vaccine will change things. We'll be able to travel 2021. That'll be nice.
I hope so too.
Yep.
Drive a cheap car, own a cheap house.
So.
Don't buy makeup. Save money for travel.
So this has been a absolutely fantastic and wonderful show, and you both have been awesome guests. For our listeners who want to follow you on social media, if you have that, would you like to let us know what that is? If you take part in the socials,
my Facebook's is exactly my name. And I don't know what my Instagram is, but it's linked to my Facebook. And I don't have any of the other. I don't have what is the one that all the people have gone to that watch ONN? I don't have the Parlor. Is it Parlor or Parlay? I'm not sure.
Oh,
I don't have that. Whatever that is. Because I'm not
up with the times.
Oh, so I'm not very right wing.
Yeah, but
I'm a liberal.
But
oh yeah, I'm a liberal. If you want to follow me,
they're probably better off to friend Lee Connor than to try to search Karmell Ohlrogge and us getting into.
Settings.
Well, no, I mean the spellings. But if they friend you, then they would find me, because they're not gonna spell Ohlrogge right. I don't think, or probably Karmell either. So,
but I'm a fairly easy to find Facebook. I think.
Yeah, so
because it's just
Lee Connor is much simpler. Yeah. Much simpler to give them than Karmell Ohlrogge, and then one leads to the other.
I don't have any I only have my one page. I don't have like a.
Oh yeah,
page
like
and
this. Yeah, no.
That's all me. You get stuck with whatever dumb sports stuff like this summer. Do you know what Ohio Pile is in Pennsylvania, where you can go whitewater rafting?
I have heard of it. I have never been there.
Oh, they have Class 3 rapids. Did you know you can do that on a stand-up paddleboard if it's inflatable and you have a really good helmet?
That sounds
I did
interesting.
not know.
We learned that, and we got a lot of irrigated sinuses. And we did the New River, too, on stand-up paddleboards. That's how come we weren't training in summer. We were learning to whitewater stand-up paddleboard. So be advised, there will be many dumb things if you follow us.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll put those links in the description below for everyone to follow. I want to thank everyone from Ridge Runner Nation joining us tonight in the chat. You all have been great. We'll be back next week. We have 3 shows next week. 2 for sure, right? Yes, 2 confirmed 100% shows.
Yeah.
Boss Talks being on Tuesday. And we hope you all enjoy, and we'll see you all next week on the next episode. So thanks again for joining us, and later, everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah.